Welcome to the 50th episode of Yesterday's Capers. I'm Abdullah Moallim, and every week I'll be bringing you the very best shows from the past that the world has to offer. Yes, it's the 50th show, and we've got a right treat for you. We'll be talking all about Disney. Movies, TV shows, silly symphonies, songs, the absolute lot. And we'll be giving Disney the top 5 treatment. That's right, top 5 shows, songs, and movies. And by celebrating the 50th show, producer Paul and I will be ranking our favourite and least favourite shows that we've covered throughout this past year. This should be fun. So, let's get started. And joining me for this wonderful, marvellous moment is producer Paul.
Hey man, how's it going? Congratulations on the 50th episode. I can't believe we got here. It's been like I just remember from the concept. It's been amazing, man. I'm really pleased it's got this far.
Absolutely, I'm feeling the same. There were times, days, moments where I thought, "What's the point? Shall I carry on? Shall I do this? Shall I do that?" But yeah, here we are, 50 not out.
50 not out, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a decent knock. But I think there's still so much more to be done, and there's still, I think, loads more to accomplish.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you start it and you realize that this is like a kind of like bottomless pit of treasure. Like it's been quite cool.
Yeah, that's and the crazy thing is trying to convince people of that.
Yeah,
especially naysayers and people who are just like buzzing in my ear talking that bull jive. It's like, oh, are you sure you should do a show every week? You might run out of stuff to talk about. And it's like, no, I won't ever run out of stuff to talk about, ever.
Well, it's been over a year and 50 episodes later and we're still going strong. So
I mean, there's still loads more that we haven't done. I think you were asking about Rugrats. It's like, we haven't done Rugrats yet.
Yeah. I was thinking, we
haven't done Recess yet.
We haven't done like some of the main shows yet. So, and we've
not done so much, and I want to do as much from different countries as possible.
Yeah,
I think it's unfortunate that none of us speak French, because I would love to have a go at doing some French TV shows. I want to see if there's a French Grange Hill or a German Pepperan or an Italian, what's her name? Penny Crayon.
I mean, we could watch them, but we wouldn't understand the thing that's going on. But maybe that's the beauty of cartoons. Maybe they do go international when you don't. I was watching actually accidentally. My son put on Spanish Peppa Pig, and I was like, "This is weird."
But anyway, and also, yeah, thank you for listening to Yesterday's Capers. This is all for you. I do this all for you people. So I think Singapore was the latest new country.
Really?
Yeah.
Do love a bit of Singapore.
Yes, thank you to people listening in Singapore. I appreciate all y'all. I don't think I said thank you to people in Nepal, because I know we've got a couple of downloads in Nepal. So
as they're probably walking up Mount Everest, right? It's just stick on Yesterday's Capers to listen to.
Yeah, my boring droning voice will like make people turn around on Everest. No, get it off, or make them reach the summit quicker.
Yeah.
If I reach the summit quicker, then I don't have to hear his boring ass voice. Right. So, what shall we? I have no idea. Right. Where should we start this? Shall we start with Disney? Like, just have a good old natter about Disney, or do we want to do the top 5s?
Do you know what? I think it's worth, as we're still on the 50th episode, I think it's worth going for top 5s first. What do you think?
Okay, yes. You wanna do the top 5s? I'll let you producer Paul.
Oh my god!
Produce.
Right, okay.
What are we doing first?
So,
we're doing top 5s, are we?
Yeah, we're doing top 5s.
Okay, so I want to start then with the top 5 new shows that we've covered that you've never heard of, starting from 5 and going down to 1.
Right. Okay. So from 5 was
and obviously this is a show that you've never heard of.
Yeah.
That we've done on yesterday's Capers that you loved with all your heart.
Right. Yeah. Jack Hanna's Animal Adventures comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 was Bertha.
Lovely Bertha.
Joshua Jones is at 3. The Good Times at number 2. And at number 1, Family Nest.
I kind of expected Family Nest to be your number 1, but I've kind of seen you've gone for like a strong, stop motion?
Yeah, I think it has a place in my heart that I just think that I can't get it out.
Okay, so my top 5 new shows. So in at number 5 was Family Matters. So that's one with Stephen Urkel and Did I Do That?
Yeah, I did see that on the list. I was like, that's definitely making it.
Number 4, Josie and the Pussycats. Yes. I mean, in terms of a new show that struck a chord with me, it was so much fun. Number 3, Schoolhouse Rock. I learned so much from Schoolhouse Rock in those few minutes. I can't get the tale of Mr. Morton out of my head. Mr. Morton was the subject of the story, and what the predicate says he does. I will never ever forget the subject and the predicate in English grammar ever again.
What if you'll ever need it again?
The subject, and what he does is the predicate. So if Mr. Morton is going for a walk, the subject is Mr. Morton, and the predicate is that he's going for a walk. It's so cool.
Yeah, I think it was on my. I think it got pushed off the list for me.
So it's your honourable mention.
It's on my honourable mention. Yeah.
Number 2 was Sailor Moon.
Yeah,
I thought that was outstanding. I really enjoyed Sailor Moon.
Yeah, another one of mine that got pushed off the list.
An honourable mention.
Yeah.
So you do have honourable mentions then?
Yeah, I do, but I didn't write them down, so I'm going to just jump on yours when I find them.
But no, Sailor Moon, like, because obviously when I started the pod and telling people, oh, hey, I'm going to do a podcast about old school cartoons, and then someone goes, oh, are you going to do Sailor Moon? And I'm like, what the hell is Sailor Moon? And people are like to me, are you crazy? How do you not know Sailor Moon? It's one of the biggest cartoons in the history of ever. And once I watched it, I kind of realized, okay, maybe it is. It lived up to the hype. It was incredibly fun. And number 1 for new shows was Degrassi from last week.
Another one of mine that I was like, oh, I love it, but there was a few more that just made it ahead.
Yeah. You know, I actually did like the theme song after listening to it like 15 times in post. This show was brilliant. The storylines were great. Everything about it was so good. Absolutely loved Degrassi. It had Drake in it. So, come on. It's got Drake. And we finally found a good Canadian show. And my honorable mentions were the Hugleys, or the Hugleys, as we say here in the UK. Also, Good Times, not The Good Times. But I like that you put that in your top. It's a very, very good show. Living Single was my other honourable mention.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not allowed any more honourable mentions, but Julia was on the list as well.
Oh, Julia! Okay. Dante Lee and his dad were talking about Julia.
Really?
How he's saying that he grew up watching Julia.
Yeah, I mean, I not all but forgot about it, but it was just, we've covered so many shows, and I was like, when we go back through the shows, I'm like, wow, we did that show, I forgot about it. That was great.
Yeah. And that's why I tried to like scroll all the way down the list and try and pick new shows that I genuinely hadn't heard of and we're doing for the very first time. I think Static Shock was desperately unlucky not to make my list at all.
Yeah.
That was an excellent cartoon. Okay, so let's do the negatives. What are your top 5 bad shows? I'm looking forward to this one.
Okay, in no particular order. Because...
no particular order. You have to.
Okay.
Rank it.
All right,
Rank
okay.
it.
In number 5, Angela Anaconda.
Okay.
Straight up. S Club 7, number 4. Johnny Quest at number 3.
Wow.
Barney at number 2. And Josie and the Pussycats at number 1.
You better put respect on Hanna-Barbera's name. Excuse you?
Josie and the Pussycats wasn't Hanna-Barbera, was it?
Yes, it was. They did the cartoons.
Yeah, so
Excuse you?
Josie and the Pussycats, definitely, because I remember how much you loved it and how much I hated it.
Why did you hate it, though? Explain yourself.
I couldn't get over the fact. Well, first of all, they're a band, but they're also like a crime fighting thing, and also and also it was like they looked like this Scooby Doo lot.
That's not their fault. Remember, Josie and Pussycats was a comic, and it was sold to Hanna-Barbera to make into cartoons. They just probably thought, okay, we're gonna do that with Scooby Doo.
Yeah, but anyway, it's made my top worst list. Maybe it can swap places with Johnny Quest, but it's not going further down than that.
Johnny Quest wasn't that bad, was it?
It was atrocious. I think you really liked it, and I
didn't really like it. I'm saying that it wasn't that bad.
I think it was almost everything about Johnny Quest I hated. I remember dragging my way through those episodes.
Man, okay, right. Let me do my top 5 bad shows. Okay, so in at number 5 is Off the Wall. Kind of sucks that I have to put a Disney show in the top 5, but Off the Wall was just not good. To Me to You was number 4. Number 3 was Zaboomafoo. I didn't really have time for this. I think this was a Canadian show as well.
Yeah, I think it was so annoying that it was almost a little bit. It didn't make the list because it was like a little bit.
No. It was bad. Okay, and number 2 was Angela Anaconda.
Yeah.
Awful show.
Yeah, I hated it.
Awful. And it shouldn't come as a surprise, but the number 1 worst show that we have done on yesterday's Capers is the Biker Mice from Mars.
And you're allowed to mention it this time.
Yes, because it was awful. Like, I don't really want to have to say bad things about cartoons because obviously this is our thing. This is my trade. I have to love these things that we're doing, and I have to have some kind of love for them. But this show was everything about Biker Mice from Mars. It stunk to high heaven in every conceivable way.
Yeah, I think it was like, for me, it carried a lot of nostalgia in it. I had all the toys and stuff like that, and I remember the little triangle helmets you put on their head of the motorbikes and stuff. So for me, I think it carried way too much nostalgia to be that bad, if you see what I mean.
You must have been the only person.
Me and my brother
had them. Yeah, you and your brother. Okay, so we're gonna move on now to theme songs. What are your top 5 theme songs of shows that we have covered?
Okay, there's one I couldn't split, so I've got two. I've got a top 5, but one of them's 2.
Tied at number 5, you mean?
Tied at number 5 is Tots TV and Rosie and Jim. Now you try and split between those two, because that is too hard.
Rosie and Jim.
All right, okay, so Rosie and Jim comes at number 5. Tots TV is an honourable mention. There's better ways than anyone to do it. 4, Postman Pat.
Of course.
3, DuckTales.
Woo!
And a very, very tricky one is at number 2, Sweet Valley High.
Oh!
And at number 1, Family Nest.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Oh, man. My honorable mentions for this one was exponential. Okay, so my top 5. So in at number 5 was Kenan and Kel. Number 4 was The Family Nest. Number 3 was Sailor Moon. Number 2 was DuckTales.
Oh.
And in at number 1, Bertha.
Oh, okay.
Lovely Bertha. You are a lovely machine, and anyone who works with you will know just what I mean. Whoa, Bertha, lovely Bertha. Sometimes I think you're a dream. And when we find out what we're meant to do, you can always turn the goods out, always turn the goods out. We can depend upon you. And my honourable mentions, the Snorks.
Oh, damn, Snorks.
Sweet Valley High, of course.
I'm very surprised it didn't make your top 5.
I was tempted, but the top 5 that I had, I couldn't get rid of the top 5 that I had. Okie Doke was another one of my...
That was an honourable mention for me as well.
Oh, man. So good, so good, so good. Okay, so this is now the top 5 best shows that we have covered.
Right, top 5. Poddington Peas, short and sweet, and it was like great little bit of fun. Bearing in mind, some shows, I didn't count shows that I'd heard of because they didn't make the not heard of list, so I couldn't put them on the favourite shows, right? So there's a lot of shows that were great, but they didn't fall into this category. So if I'd heard of them, they were in this category. If I hadn't, they weren't, if you see what I mean. So there are a lot missing off this list. Right, so Poddington Peas at number 5. 4, The Moomins. 3, Hey Arnold. Even though I did give it a bit of a slating, it's still one of the best cartoons ever made ever. 2, Home Improvement. And I honestly, I love that show so much. And at 5 I think it was listed. So it was number 1, and I'm pretty sure it's Chris's number 1 as well, and probably your number 1 as well. But Top Cat.
You'll be shocked that top 5 didn't make the top 5 at all, or at the honourable mentions. No. So my top 5 was As Told by Ginger, number 5. Yeah, that was an outstanding cartoon.
Yeah, again, I hadn't heard of it, so it couldn't make this list for me.
Yep. Number 4 was DuckTales. I think the old DuckTales is good. I think the new DuckTales is good. I think they've managed to continue the story really well. The episode where they meet their mum is a real tearjerker. So I suggest some of you, go out your way and see that. My number 3 is The Wonder Years. Number 2 is Grange Hill. I mean, it's a show that just has so much history and so much for me growing up, and some of the stuff that they talked about and covered was amazing. And Grange Hill has to be number 2. And my number 1 of the shows that we've done is Hey Arnold.
Yep, solid number 1.
And my honorable mentions are Bertha, The Tribe.
Oh, The Tribe. Yeah, again, I didn't heard of it, but yeah.
And The Moomins was my honorable mention. Again, Moomins was very unlucky not to make the top 5. Was thinking As Told by Ginger or The Moomins. Either one of those. So, those are the top 5 shows that we have done. We'll save the top 5 Disney stuff for later. So, I mean, I'm really happy with that list. I'm really happy that you had a comprehensive list. I mean, I do think Poddington Peas is a waste, though.
Yeah, I mean, it was
a waste of a pick.
No,
Poddington Peas made your top 5.
Yeah, it was a really short episodes. They all had like a little thing, and it was like, and like I said, there was a lot that didn't qualify for my list. So there's loads of shows that we've done on Yesterday's Capers that I had never heard of, and they were absolutely fantastic. But because they didn't
put them on your list. You're allowed.
No, because for me, They didn't make the list because they didn't go on the. Because...
No, but if you genuinely like them and they're one of the best shows that we've done, in your opinion, then you can put that in your top 5.
I'll have to do some more research then. Because
Poddington Peas.
I mean, it was a great show.
I'll tell you what, though. If we make it to 100, what we'll do is we'll do the top 5 thing again, and if there's any changes and any adjustments, we can make them.
Yeah. Okay. Deal.
Right, let's get down to brass tacks, and let's talk about what we're here to talk about, and that is Disney. Yes, so this is the company that was started up by Walter Elias Disney, or Walt Disney, and he was born on the 5th of December 1901 in Chicago's Hermosa neighborhood. He enrolled at McKinley High School and became the cartoonist of the school newspaper, drawing patriotic pictures about World War I. He also took night courses at the Chicago Academy of Fine Arts, and in mid-1918, he attempted to join the United States Army to fight against the Germans, but he was rejected for being too young. After the war, he opened a new business with a co-worker from the film ADCO, Fred Harmon, and their main client was the local Newman Theatre, and they produced short cartoons, and they were sold as Newman's Laughograms. And Disney studied Paul Terry's Aesop Fable as a model, and the first 6 Laughograms were modernized fairy tales. And from then on, Disney developed Mickey Mouse, who was possibly inspired by a pet mouse that Disney had adopted while working in his Laughogram studio. Disney's original choice of name was Mortimer Mouse, but Lillian thought it was too pompous and suggested Mickey instead. And I think, Lillian Eworks revised Disney's provisional sketches to make the character easier to animate, and Disney provided Mickey's voice until 1947. And Mickey Mouse first appeared in May 1928 as a single test screening of the short plane Crazy, but it and the second feature, The Galloping Gaucho, failed to find a distributor. And following the 1927 sensation, The Jazz Singer, Disney used synchronized sound on the third short and created the first post-produced sound cartoon, or Steamboat Willie. Now, quickly, let's talk about Steamboat Willie, because I think you said you watched it, didn't you?
Yeah.
I didn't really get what the purpose of it was.
I think that he was, as far as I looked at it, he was kind of like a pest mouse, like Jerry, right? And it was just, and the Steamboat Willie, is that the
It's got to be your man, yeah. It's got to be your man. He's got to be Willie.
So it was very Tom and Jerry to begin with, wasn't it? Like,
was it?
Yeah, isn't it felt like that? Do you know, like Jerry's a bit of a pain, and then Tom tries to kick his head in, sort of thing. And...
No, but I thought it was that Mickey was a mate on the ship. Like, he was meant to be like doing his job, but there he is, like doing his little. One thing I'll say, I love his dance so much. Yeah. Mickey Mouse has a certain dance where he's like he's all like crouched down with the hips moving, and he's like going basically slacking off, and then old Willie comes in and he's like to Mickey, "You better get your ass to work."
That's a good chat, actually.
And so I think that's what it was, as opposed to him being the annoying little mouse.
But he was an annoying little mouse, though, wasn't he? Even for like, he was always up to mischief.
No, I liked Mickey Mouse. I actually, throughout the whole Disney thing that we're gonna talk about, I really liked Mickey. I thought he was a great character. And obviously we meet Minnie Mouse in this episode too.
Yep, she gets picked up.
Yeah.
With a little crane.
Yeah. That was so stupid. You're just grabbing her by her dress.
Yeah.
And just yonking her onto the ship, and then in the end the boss is like, right, go and cut up potatoes. And you got the parrot going, throws a potato, and he just falls off
straight in the water.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yes, that was Steamboat Willie. And after the animation was complete, Disney signed a contract with the former exec of Universal Pictures, Pat Powers, to use the Powers Cinephone recording system, and Cinephone became the new distributor for Disney's early sound cartoons, which soon became popular. And by 1934, Disney had become dissatisfied with producing formulaic cartoon shorts and believed a feature-length cartoon would be more profitable. So the studio began a 4-year production of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs based on the fairy tale. Who wrote Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Is it Grimm's? I'm thinking it might be a Grimm's fairy tale, but I'm not
Brothers
sure.
Grimm. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it was.
Oh, Grimm's fairy tale. Oh, got that right. So, they went on to make the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And when the news leaked out about the project, many in the film industry predicted it would bankrupt the company. Industry insiders nicknamed it Disney's Folly. Now, do you want to talk about Snow White? Do you ever remember watching it?
Yeah, I definitely watched it as a kid. I mean, it's one of those really. I think everyone remembers Snow White as quite a really nice cartoon, really pleasant, the dwarves and things like that. But it's quite a dark cartoon.
The evil stepmother, she's that big.
Yeah.
She's like, she's one of them like, ooh.
Most of what I remember from Snow White is now probably going to come from the Harlem Globetrotters episode I watched. But yeah, I mean...
Whistle while you work. I didn't know it came from this film.
And it's Off to Work We Go as well.
Hi ho, it's off to work we go. I went and watched it. I'll tell you something. If I was sitting in post with Disney, I'd have shaved off about half an hour of this film. There was so much pointless, just there for the hell of it. Like, for example, right, it starts, with the normal, right, Disney, with Snow White. I'm a pretty little Snow White. And then the evil stepmother going to the big burly guy, you better take her to the forest and you better kill her. And I like that, you better bring her heart and put it in this jar. And it's a jar like made of a heart shape.
Yeah.
Not knowing that the shape of a heart isn't that. And then he's like, he's about to kill her. And he's like, no, I can't do this. So he's like to her, run. And so she's runs deep into the forest. She has a bit of a panic attack, like Pingu did when the telephones were ringing. So she's just on the floor going, this is too much. And then she basically finds some animals. And so her and the animals go and they clean up the house, and she's singing the Whistle While You Work song. So they clean up the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, make it spick and span. And by the time the dwarfs come, I like that the animals look out for themselves. The animals scarpered and left Snow White in the house.
Because they know there can be dinner otherwise.
What? A horse and a squirrel? There's a bit where Snow White, obviously, she knows the seven dwarfs know her, and then there's like at least 20, 30 minutes of just nothing happening.
Yeah.
Until the evil stepmom catches up with Snow White and gives her the apple to eat. There is so much. And also, right, the prince is a creep. He is a creep because basically she's singing, right? This is at the beginning of the film. She's singing, going la 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 la, and he can hear from the big fence. And you know what he does? My man climbs over the fence and he basically wants to join in and doing some harmonies. I would have got the broom and been like, get the hell out of my house, fool.
Yeah, can you imagine that happening now? That's not...
And she obviously, I'm like, good Snow White. She literally runs up to the house. Like, who the hell is this creep? I don't care if you're some fairy prince. You better ferry your way out of my house. Your peeping Tom ass. Like, just jumping over the window. Like it's a free place to come. Yeah, that's why I thought, I don't like this prince. And you know what annoyed me as well about Snow White?
Go on.
The ending was so abrupt.
I can't remember the ending. Obviously, it's a happily ever after, isn't it?
She's kind of dead, but she ain't. And the dwarves thought she was so beautiful. They don't want to bury her. So what they did is they did some like fancy bougie coffin where you can see her face. Somehow, even though she's dead, she doesn't rot because apparently she's been there for many, many years.
Was it years?
I think so. She'd been there for a minute. She'd been there for a minute. And so she's there. Everyone's all crying. Oh, this is so sad. This poor, beautiful girl. And so the prince, he hears through the grapevine that there's a princess laying in a tomb somewhere. So he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go see her, and gives her a kiss. She wakes up. She rises up in the sunset, and it's over.
Yeah, I mean, but that's how all fairy tales end, isn't it?
Hey, I'm like watching it going, hey, what? You made me sit through that half an hour of nothing to have that as an ending? I'd have walked out of the cinema. Back in 37. I'd have walked out.
In this, like, marvel the world has never been before. You're like, popcorn every arm out.
What, you made me sit through half an hour of Snow White bantering with the dwarves, doing whatever the hell they were doing. I think I even dozed off for like 5-10 minutes. And she still hadn't met the evil stepmom and the apple.
I was just looking at a picture, reminding myself of who the characters are. Evil stepmom, the witch given an apple. Yeah. The one thing that does my head in about the old Disney cartoons is, and I know we spoke about this before, was the audio is like really bad. And obviously it's like nearly 100 years ago since this was made. But it's still like it's very shrill, I think is the word.
No, it's not. I mean, you're an expert at this, so this is what you kind of do for your day job. So I think, yeah, but I don't know. Like for me, the layman, I was watching it and it was fine. But I'm sure you could spot subtle differences from mono, stereo, Technicolor.
I mean, obviously, like I said, and to be honest, when I said it, I realised how bad it was when it's like nearly 100 years ago. But these are classics, aren't they? I mean, like they are actual classics that I think before it's even like a book, I think it's probably now a Disney thing. And one thing I was thinking before, the world has changed that much that if you drew a cartoon mouse now, you wouldn't be able to make an empire of it. Disney made, obviously you can do that. Like you and I, with a bit of research, could probably make an animated mouse, right? Within a week, we could make a cartoon if we put our minds to it. But Disney created an empire, like literally an empire, on this little cartoon mouse, and I think that in itself is incredible thing.
Knowing you, it would be stop motion.
It'd be stop motion. I'd be the guy banging my fist. No, we're not moving on, and then bankrupts the court next week.
So yeah, more about Snow White. The film cost $1.5 million to produce, which was 3 times over the budget. And to ensure the animation was as realistic as possible, Disney sent his animators on courses at the Chouinard Art Institute. He brought animals into the studio and hired actors so that the animators could study realistic movement. And to portray the changing perspective of the background as a background moving through the scene, Disney's animators developed a multi-plane camera which allowed the drawings on pieces of glass to be set at various distances from the camera, creating an illusion of depth, and the glass could move to create the impression of a camera passing through the scene.
Incredible.
Man, this dude was innovative. Like we're talking about game-changing stuff. And obviously it premiered in December 1937 to high praise and critics from the audiences. And the film became the most successful motion picture of 1938. And by May 1939, its total gross of $6.5 million made it the most successful sound film made to that date. And the success of Snow White heralded one of the most productive eras for the studio. The Walt Disney Family Museum calls the following years the golden age of animation. With work on Snow White finished, the studio began producing Pinocchio in 1938 and Fantasia in November of the same year. Both films were released in 1940 and neither performed well at the box office, partly because revenues from Europe had dropped following the start of World War II in 1939. So just quickly on Pinocchio and Fantasia. Now, I've never seen Fantasia.
I had to watch The Sorcerer's Apprentice bit where obviously it's Mickey Mouse playing the Sorcerer's Apprentice in Fantasia. He's lazy and he doesn't want to do his chores, so he casts a spell to do it, and the spell goes out of hand. I think it's a very, very famous moment, and the tune like bum ba-dum ba-da-da-da-dum ba-dum ba-dum, and it's that it's in my head now, and yeah.
But I liked Pinocchio, so obviously due to some war business, it kind of ruined the money for Pinocchio. But Pinocchio was a decent little film, I thought.
Yeah, I think Pinocchio is another one of those golden films that everyone has this. Not everyone, but most people would have this kind of like look through very rose-colored glasses, and rightly so. I think it's a nice little film and very good morals to the story. Just quickly on Disney, I've got to give credit to Shrek for reviving some of these characters as well, because like from the fairy tales, it's everyone, like I think everyone loves seeing those little
I'm a good boy.
yeah, and this and this is it Shrek 2, is that I'm a real boy, and then he gets turned into a puppet again. But yes, anyway, yeah, I just want to say that's quite cool to see like fairy tale creatures.
And so obviously at the end of the war, a lot of people were looking at Disney and thinking, is it worth the money? And so what happened was Amadeo Giannini, who was in charge of, I think, Bank of America. He was the chairman and founder of Bank of America. He had told his executives, and I quote, "I've been watching the Disney's pictures quite closely because I knew we were lending them money far above the financial risk. They're good this year, they're good next year, and they're good the year after. You have to relax and give them time to market their product." And yeah, so Disney's production of short films decreased in the late 1940s, coinciding with increasing competition in the animation market from Warner Brothers and MGM. And in the early 1950s, Disney produced Cinderella, his first studio animated feature in 8 years. It was popular with critics and theater audiences, costing $2.2 million to produce, and it earned nearly $8 million in its first year. And Disney had been a heavy smoker since the First World War. He did not use cigarettes with filters and had smoked a pipe as a young man. In 1966, he was diagnosed with lung cancer and was treated with cobalt therapy. And on November 30th, he felt unwell and was taken to the St. Joseph Hospital, where on December 15th, 10 days after his 65th birthday, he died of a circulatory collapse caused by the cancer, and his remains were cremated 2 days later, and his ashes interred at the Forest Lawn Memorial Park in Glendale, California. Before he died, one of the big projects that he was fixated on was the big Walt Disney Studios and the
Park.
The big park that we have. And that was like kind of his thing that he wanted to do more than anything in the world. Disney's public persona was very different from his actual personality. Playwright Robert E. Sherwood described him as, and I quote, almost painfully shy, diffident, and self-depreciating. And according to his biographer Richard Skakel, Disney hid his shy and insecure personality behind his public identity. And Kimball argues that Disney played the role of a bashful tycoon who was embarrassed in public and knew that he was doing so. And Disney acknowledged the facade and told a friend that, and I quote, "I am not Walt Disney. I do a lot of things Walt Disney would not do. Walt Disney does not smoke. I smoke. Walt Disney does not drink. I drink." And the fact that he was a Republican in his later years might be down to that. Critic Otis Ferguson in the New Republic called the private Disney common and everyday, not inaccessible, not in a foreign language, not suppressed or sponsored or anything, just Disney. Many of those with whom Disney worked commented that he gave his staff little encouragement due to his exceptionally high expectations. Norman recalls that when Disney said, "That'll work," it was an indication of high praise. Instead of direct approval, Disney gave high-performing staff financial bonuses or recommended certain individuals to others, expecting that his praise would be passed on. And I thought I would do a quick rundown of some of the Disney films that had come out. Obviously, not all of them, but some of them. And these are probably some that I watched and liked as well. So, obviously, the first in 1937 was Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. In the 1940s, we saw Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo in 1941, and Bambi in 1942. Now, I also watched Bambi the other day.
Yeah.
And again, it was.
I watched the intro sequence the other day to try and get my son into it. He was not interested. The intro sequence is about 20 minutes long, I swear.
Yeah, that's another thing about Disney. Like, we get it. Like, he's flexing when he's doing those long intros. He's flexing.
I mean, back in the day, it was probably amazing to watch that, right?
I thought Bambi's mum died in the beginning of the film.
She dies when the hunters come. I can't remember. I think it's about is it 2/3? A third of the way through the film?
Like, it was. She survived a winter, a summer, another winter, and she was alive for 2 summers. And then she got popped by the man, or man, as they said. It was like a drive-by.
Well, no, the hunters came, right? And then they were hiding.
No, because the hunters come, and she's like to Bambi, run. No, run. Don't look back. Just run. Just keep running. Don't worry about me. Just keep running. And Bambi's obviously running. And he goes into their hiding place, and he's like, oh, we made it, Mom. We made it. And he's like, Mom, Mother. And he's looking around, and then you got like the big stag, who surely has to be the baby daddy.
Yeah, it's his dad, isn't it? I'll take the boy.
And then he goes, she won't be coming anymore, boy. She dead. I could have sworn we see the body.
Nah, I'm pretty sure you're just thinking of the Lion King.
No, I'm not thinking about the Lion King. Oh, Pinky and the Brain. That should have been one of my honourable mentions.
Ah, yeah. I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
Just for that Lion King parody.
Papa?
Oh, God.
Was it like the most saddest film ever?
And it's tigers. It's not like it's tigers. Oh my God, I'm gonna go off again. And he's like, got to go home, Papa. And then like even like Brain is like, Papa. Oh my God. Oh, dude, I've completely Anyway, so really sad moment in Bambi. We got to get it back on track. Get the train back on track. So Bambi, really sad. Again, this was another thing I thought I could have shaved off half hour in post.
Yeah, I think, like you said, they're probably just flexing. Like, they're probably one of the only animation studios in the world that could do what they were doing.
Like the little April shower scene, could have cut off about a minute of that.
Yeah, actually, that's one thing about Disney films is the musicals, man. Like, they're all music.
The music is sensational. No, it's good. It's good music. If it was rubbish, then I would have said it's rubbish. But like I'm watching Bambi, and it's like drip drip drop little April shower, do 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 do, drip drip drop little April, and I'm like, okay. After like the 5th time they're going, drip drip drop little April shower. I'm like, oh my God, okay, it's April, we get it, it's spring.
Yeah, I mean, that drives me crazy, like that burst into song thing. Like,
but it's good. I like most of the time I don't mind it. Like, but move the story on now. It's spring. Oh, and another thing, Thumper. I could have thumped him. I could have thumped that little thing. I don't know what it was. What was it? Oh, Bambi's trying to get onto his feet, and there's Thumper going, you can't stand up straight. I would have thumped him into next week. Would have knocked him over with one of my antlers.
I haven't seen it for years. So, I mean, I nearly watched it, but I didn't.
And then obviously Thumper's mum is like, Thumper, what I tell you? If you don't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Which is, of course, a very classic, iconic line in all of Disney. But no, Bambi was fine. Good stuff. the 1950s. So you had Cinderella, Treasure Island, Alice in Wonderland, Lady and the Tramp, and Sleeping Beauty. I should probably say the years. So Cinderella and Treasure Island both came out in 1950. Alice in Wonderland was 1951. 1955 was Lady and the Tramp, and Sleeping Beauty in 1959. And Davy Crockett had a whole bunch of films in the 50s. And the only reason why I know Davy Crockett because I was watching Forrest Gump. And you know where he's sitting on the bench and the man's at to him, "You don't own Bubba Gump, do you?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's me."
It shows you the Fortune magazine, isn't it?
Yeah, no. And he basically said to the man, "Yeah, it's me." And he's like, "I got more money than Davy Crockett." And he's like, "No, that's definitely not you." And then he walks off going, "Ha ha ha, you joker." And then he shows the lady.
Oh, that's when he's on the cover of the Fortune magazine. Yeah.
That's me on some magazine, blah, blah, blah. And that's all I know of Davy Crockett. 1960s. So there was 1961 was the 101 Dalmatians, which I was watching just before we recorded.
Solid film.
Oh, Roger is the one. Cruella de Vil. Cruella de Vil. If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will. And I love how he's going upstairs and he's still singing the song and she's coming. And Anita's like, "Go away, you idiot, get out of here." And he's like, "Cruella de Vil, Cruella." And then he's upstairs and he's like banging his feet going, "Cruella de Vil, yes, Cruella de Vil." And she's going, like, keep quiet, like, I've got her upstairs and whatnot. But that song slaps. You're telling me you wouldn't mind. You're telling me you would have sat there and be like, "Oh, here comes another musical interlude and Cruella de Vil is being played."
No, I mean, there are exceptions to the rule. It's not a blanket rule.
60 years on, that song still holds up. If she doesn't scare you, no evil thing will. Also, 1961 was The Parent Trap, which I actually think is quite a fun little film.
I've only seen the Lindsay Lohan version.
Yeah, I've seen the original and the Lindsay Lohan version. But I actually think it's a cute film. Really fun, nice little Disney film. 1963 was The Sword in the Stone. Now, I remember there was a scene where I thought Arthur's such a little heartbreaking asshole. Because I think Merlin turns him into a bug or something. And the ladybug catches feelings for Arthur, the ladybug. And then Arthur just turns into human and she's like going off and she's like all heartbroken. It is like so. Oh.
I watched that not long ago, but I don't remember that bit. I remember
it might not be it might be like a chipmunk or a tiny little rodent thing. And I think Merlin was kind of teaching him about love and heartbreak and things of that nature. So I think that's where that came from. 1964 saw Mary Poppins.
Okay, so Mary Poppins, I don't like Mary Poppins. It's too much for me on the musical level. But there's a film
called... It's a musical!
Yeah, but there's a film called Saving Mr. Banks. Now, that is incredible. It's about the making of Mary Poppins. It's a very modern film, but it's about the making of Mary Poppins. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it, especially if you like Mary Poppins, but even if you don't.
Mary Poppins is one of those films where I can't not hate it and I can't not watch it if it's on TV.
Obviously the songs were in that film that I watched, so I know the songs and stuff like that. And it's nice to hear a bit of the songs in the movie, but just people breaking it, especially like what's it called, live action films, because obviously this was like proper live action, right? Walt Disney didn't even want it to be an animation. He didn't want any animation in it. And there was that animation sequence for the penguins, and yeah, I learned all this from the film I watched, by the way.
I mean, look, okay, the biggest glaring flaw was Dick Van Dyke and his horrible Cockney accent. But then, like I said, I didn't mind it in 101 Dalmatians. It was so bad in them. They're like, "Oh, come along, Horace. We better get in before the missus comes to get us."
Yeah.
And they're watching some stupid program called What's My Crime? It's such and I think the premise of the program is, so a criminal comes in and you have like 3 contestants and they have to guess what his crime is. And if they guess the correct crime, he goes free. And he gets, I love that. And the prize is he gets to spend some time in a lovely English seaside town. And so Horace and the other one, no, they didn't guess until he has to go back to jail. He's like, oh, off. And they're like, oh dear, Horace, looks like he's got to go and do Her Majesty's bidding.
I mean,
going back to the thing.
That sounds like it sounds like quite a good game show, but not a good game show.
What's My Crime? Yeah. What kind of a show is that? What's My Crime? And he's got like some like typical English guy going, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's My Crime? And over here we have Percival Johnson, who is doing His Majesty's bidding for aggravated assault and actual bodily harm. But yeah, that was something. And of course, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, even though the sound of it is often quite atrocious, if you say it loud enough, you often sound precocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, which basically means, I think, does it mean when you don't have anything to say, you say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?
I wouldn't even know.
I think that's what the whole premise of that whole word is.
I think you need to watch this film, Saving Mr. Banks. I think you will really enjoy it.
Yes, and also Let's Go Fly a Kite. That's a lovely song.
That is a nice song, actually.
Yeah, let's go fly a kite up to the highest heights. And then 1967 was The Jungle Book. That came out in 1967.
That's another film that is... It's good back in the day. It's not... The live action film sucked so badly.
Oh, so you're saying that you don't think The Jungle Book held up then?
No, not at all.
Not the animated version?
I don't like any of them, but there are a few people that do like it.
Bare Necessities. And 1970s was The Aristocats, came out in 1970. That's a good film.
That is a great film, yeah.
It's a good film. I like The Aristocats.
Thomas O'Malley, the alley cat.
And 1971 was a film that's very, very close to my heart. Bedknobs and Broomsticks came out in 1971, starring a young Angela Lansbury.
Solid film.
Such a good film. Like whenever it comes on telly, I'm sitting there and I'm singing along. Portobello Road. That whole sequence is superb. Loved Portobello Road scene. In the 1980s, there was The Fox and the Hound, which is an incredibly underrated Disney film.
I love that film.
Really underrated.
It's one of my brother's favourite movies ever of Disney.
It's a cracking film. 1989 was The Little Mermaid.
Great film as well, I think. I think it's one of those, I think traditionally probably considered quite a girly film, but still a great film.
I wasn't crazy about Sebastian, I'll have to say.
Is he Rastafarian, kind of?
Yeah, I didn't really like that. The 1990s, you had Beauty and the Beast.
Solid decade for Disney films.
Tale as old as time. You know what? I F's with Gaston. Gaston is that guy. I will not have anyone tell me he's the villain of Beauty and the Beast. Is bull. Because basically, right, if you think of how Beauty and the Beast shapes up, right? You've got Gaston, and his sole purpose is to look after that town. He hunts for that town. He gets the food for them. He gets the wood for them. He basically keeps that town ticking over. And basically, there's a guy in a tower somewhere, the Beast. He turned into the Beast for a reason, right? He did some transgression somewhere down the line, and now he's confined to this castle forever and ever. And so Bella gets caught up in that, and so the Beast's like, you know what, sod it, I'm gonna kidnap someone against her will, and she's gonna stay in this castle forever.
She was trespassing, to be fair.
Yeah, she's trespassing. And so the Beast gonna do what Beast gonna do. Ooh, I'm gonna grab her. There.
I mean, he could have shot her.
Her dad is like to Gaston, look, please, I beg you, save her. I don't know what's gonna happen. This is some crazy-ish. And so Gaston's like, fine, I will save your daughter if you promise me her hand in marriage. And back in the day, that's how they used to be. There's none of this. Oh, I want to meet this person and I want to talk to them and I want to do this. They didn't do it like that back in the day.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think what you're coming from a very controversial viewpoint.
Well, yeah, I've had many arguments with so many people. How could you say that about Gaston? Gaston is a pig. Gaston is this. Gaston is this. And also in the 90s, we had the Lion King,
1994.
Pocahontas in 95, Toy Story also in 95, Mulan in 1998. A Bug's Life also came out in 1998, but I think The Bug's Life is awful.
But that was Disney's answer to Ants, wasn't it? And let's face it was a massive flop. Ants was absolutely fantastic, and A Bug's Life was
Thank you.
Was
Ants
rubbish.
is a good film.
Ants is an amazing film.
Ants is awesome. I love Ants.
Great film.
Ants is the.
I've watched it a few times. I mean, it's got Sylvester Stallone in it, isn't it?
It's got Sylvester, J-Lo. It's got like a big old cast. And 2000s, we had The Incredibles in 2004.
It's one of those films where you think it's going to be I thought it was going to be bad, and it was amazing.
I thought it was okay at best. WALL-E, 2008.
Just incredible.
Really good film.
Just incredible.
Really good film. I liked WALL-E. Up in 2009.
Great
another
film.
Awesome film. Brave came out in 2012, so this is 2010s.
Average.
Frozen in 2013. Yeah, I didn't like Brave. I watched Brave. I wasn't crazy about it. It was a good idea.
Yeah.
Having the girl being strong and brave and she's going to break stereotypes, but
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I thought, nah, not for me. And Inside Out in 2015.
Oh my God, Inside Out.
2006 was Moana, which I watched and I kind of liked it.
Yeah, I got good reviews. I've never seen it. I've seen a little bit of it, somewhere where she's on a raft or something. She goes away.
It's a good little film. The soundtrack was cute as well. A Wrinkle in Time was a special mention, I want to say. That is a fantastic Disney film.
I've never heard of it.
Really, really is. Wrinkle in Time. Go out of your way to watch it if you haven't. And in the American Dictionary of National Biography, Langer writes, Disney remains the central figure in the history of animation. Through technological innovations and alliances with governments and corporations, he transformed a minor studio in a marginal form of communication into a multinational leisure industry giant. Despite his critics, his vision of a modern corporate utopia as an extension of traditional American values has possibly gained greater currency in the years after his death. Now, one of the projects that I wanted to talk about of Disney was Silly Symphonies. So this was a series of 75 animated musical short films produced by Walt Disney Productions from 1929 to 1939. And as their name implies, the Silly Symphonies were originally intended as whimsical accompaniments to pieces of music. As such, the films usually had independent continuity and did not feature continuing characters, unlike the Mickey Mouse shorts produced by Disney at the same time. And the series is notable for its innovation with Technicolor and the multiplane motion picture camera, as well as the introduction of the character Donald Duck, making his first appearance in the Silly Symphony cartoon The Wise Little Hen in 1934. And Silly Symphonies won 7 Academy Awards for Best Animated Short Films, maintaining a 6-year hold on the category after it was first introduced. And this record was matched only by Tom and Jerry. So they won the award for The Ugly Duckling, The Country Cousin, 3 Orphan Kittens, The Tortoise and the Hare, 3 Little Pigs, Flowers and Trees, and The Old Mill. Now, did you manage to watch some Silly Symphonies?
Well, honestly, looking at this list, I think I'd watched The Ugly Duckling and the Skeleton one.
To this day, no word of a lie, the skeleton dance still scares the hell out of me.
It is properly freaky, isn't it? But the animation and the things are really, really like they're fantastic, and the sounds are brilliant.
And this was what 1929 when it came out, and you know the bit where the skeleton goes right into the camera. Every time I always like go, like I take a step back. That's how crazy and scary it get. Like I remember seeing it as a kid for the first time. I was so scared. And then they start doing some weird dancing and everything about the skeleton dance. Just yeah.
I think it's in a graveyard as well, and it's like it's quite freaky, but it is very, very good as well.
But with the Ugly Duckling one, so basically it's
an age-old tale, right? So
well, yeah, it's basically a story of the Ugly Duckling. So mother hen, she gives birth to chicks. They're all like popping out, and she's leaving, going, "Oh, okay, you're born. Right, let's see if we can sort you out some food." But then she hears another egg. Oh, and they're all going tweet 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 tweet, and so this other one comes out, and she's looking at it like, "Ugh, what the hell is this?" And he's going, "Quack!" And she's like, "Oh, like get away from me!" And so they're all going to try and get some food. He's just basically going, "Hello, quack quack, quack quack," and she's basically trying to like shield him away, going like, "Go away, you idiot!" And he's trying to pull out a worm from the ground, and every time he does, all the little chicks just basically steal it off him, and then they're all trying to get water, and they're basically ignoring him. And it kind of reaches a point where she just basically tells him in no uncertain terms,
"Get out of town."
But it wasn't that song at all. It was different music. There once was an ugly duckling. Na, 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 na. Da, 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 da. Get out of town. Yes, it's that classic song. But no, and so basically what happens is there's a big old wind tornado, and it sweeps the little barn where the mother hen and her chicks are lying. And so the ugly duckling saves them from that big old tornado. And then in the end, she accepts him as one of her children. And all he had to do was save his brothers and sisters' lives.
That's all it takes is to get her mother's love.
I also watched The Country Cousin. So this one was, do you remember the old story about the town mouse and the country mouse? And so
no.
You never heard of that story? So basically, like the town mouse, he lives in a big old town, lights, cars, whatnot, and they've got the country mouse. They're related. So what happens is the town mouse invites the country mouse to come and stay with him in the big city. He's finding it difficult to adapt because he's basically a country bumpkin, and he's finding it incredibly difficult. And then so they're basically eating, and he has a little bit of the bubbly, and as a result gets really, really drunk, and he's basically wakes the cat up. The cat is like chasing him around, and he's like, you know what, I'm getting up out of here. I'm leaving, and I'm taking the midnight train to Georgia.
Is that where the song comes from?
No. Oh. But you do know the song, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I was about to say, if you don't know that song. But yeah, basically, he's leaving for the midnight train to Georgia. So that's what happens. And what else did I watch? I watched 3 Orphan Kittens, but this was quite rubbish, actually. This was basically 3 little cats who come into a big old house, and they're causing a ruckus, as little kittens do. And then you got the black maid coming in going, "Oh, Lordy, you done messed up. Time to get these cats out of here." And then the little white girl goes, "Oh, please don't throw them away. I'm going to make them my little babies." And I just thought, that's where Tom and Jerry got the idea of.
Yeah, I was just thinking that sounds very...
Mammy Two Shoes. I wrote down some select TV shows of Disney or cartoons.
Yeah.
So I wrote DuckTales, which came out in 1987 to 1990. Man, this show was incredible. The theme song was incredible. The new adventures or the newer DuckTales, I thought, like I said at the beginning, I thought the newer shows were really, really good.
Yeah.
There was there was an episode that you have to watch where
they meet their mother.
3 kids, they meet their mum, Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I think that's their names.
That sounds about right.
I hope it is, because I ain't going to go look it up. I hope it's right. If it ain't right, then my bad. I ain't seen DuckTales in a minute. So there you go. But no, like this show, thoroughly enjoyed it. And I don't think we did it justice. So one of these days, we're going to run it back with DuckTales, and we're going to
revisit.
Yeah, we're going to do we're going to run it back with some of these shows. Chip and Dale.
Chip and Dale.
Rescue Rangers, Chip and Dale. Oh my god, this was a cracking little cartoon with a cracking little theme song. I believe Tailspin. Which one was the spin-off of DuckTales? Tailspin or Darkwing Duck? Or both?
I don't know.
I know Darkwing Duck was a spin-off. I think, one of them was a spin-off. And they both came out in the 90s. Goof Troop. That was a cartoon that I remember growing up. Recess.
Of course, everyone remembers Recess, right?
And Pepper Ann. But I like Pepper Ann, actually.
Me too. Me too.
To be fair, I like Pepper Ann. So, in terms of Mickey Mouse shorts, because I want to kind of talk about that a little bit. I watched a couple. Okay, so I watched one about a gorilla, and this made me laugh so much. So basically, Mickey is reading a newspaper going, oh my, there's a gorilla on the loose. So he's thinking, you know what, let me go check up on my girl. So he goes and he rings Minnie, and he's going to Minnie, look, Minnie, you better be careful. There's a big old gorilla out on the loose. And this is incredible. And she's like, I'm not scared of no gorilla. Like, please. And she goes to, and obviously this is to prove that she's not scared. She starts to play a tune on the piano. So she's going, la 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 la, la la la, I'm not scared of no gorilla. And you got Mickey on the other side dancing, and he's on the other side of the phone going, da 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 da. And they're basically having like a little singing dance moment, which was absolutely hilarious. Like I said, I love how Mickey dances. Like, I'm like, I'm not get it, Mickey. He's back crouched and he's doing his little and the gorilla comes to Minnie's house as he does, and she's like going, there's a gorilla. And then what happens after that is Mickey comes to the rescue. They manage to fight the gorilla off, and that's how that one ended. Another one I watched was Mickey's having a really, really bad dream. So he dreams that someone takes Pluto. So this is like some really creepy, I don't even know how to describe it, a guy in a hood. He's taking a witch doctor, that's it. So he's taking Pluto to his big old laboratory, and he wants to turn Pluto into a half dog, half bird breed. So he wants to, I think, take the wishbone from the dog and attach it onto the bird so he can have like a super breed. And Mickey's going, woo-hoo, woo-hoo. That's how they talk I don't even know why. Woo-hoo, woo-hoo. And so he's going off to the laboratory, and he manages to distract the witch doctor long enough. So he ends up getting tied up, and he's like going, no, don't take me, no. And then he wakes up. It was a bad dream. And then he wakes up and he's like, Pluto. And then Pluto's just basically outside in his little dog hut having a nap. Like, hell is you waking me up for? And one that I remember from my childhood was Moving Day. So I think this was Mickey, Goofy, and Minnie. I think they're moving, but they've got this evil landlord who's like, I don't know, making their life hella difficult. And it just reminds me when I was moving house, and it's just like, the stress of moving house. And he's just trying to throw everything into a suitcase. He's sitting on it, and then it just blows up. And he's like in the air. And a Daffy Duck short, I remember, where he can't close the tap.
Donald Duck.
What did I say? Daffy Duck.
Daffy Duck. Warner Brothers.
Oh, my bad. Daffy Duck.
I do love Daffy Duck.
But no, Donald Duck he can't get to sleep because the taps won't shut for him. So that was He was another really fun character. I loved his like cameo appearances on DuckTales.
Yeah,
He's
I
a
think
complete and utter goof, but
a lot of people like finding quite endearing, but a bit annoying, to be honest. Especially the
the
voice.
tap episode was really annoying.
I mean, I can see why it's sort of a bit funny, but it's just.
I guess, yeah. I guess. And right, I think we should do our top 5 for Disney now. And I think we should kick off with our top 5 Disney TV shows. Seeing as you struggled with that, let's see what you've come up with.
So at 4, DuckTales. At 3, Pepper Ann. And I guess, man. Okay, so maybe Recess at number 2, and controversial, but like at number 1, The Mandalorian, which is the Disney Star Wars spin-off of the bounty hunter kind of story. It's not the bounty hunter, but it's a story about that traditional faith and stuff. So it's a Star Wars story. It's a series, and it's made by Disney.
My top 5 Disney TV shows were number 5, Lizzie McGuire. I like this show. I kind of liked it, and I was struggling. So number 4, Pepper Ann. Number 3, Smart Guy.
Ooh, yeah.
Number 2, Recess, and number 1, of course, is DuckTales. Woo!
Ooh.
Every day they're up there making DuckTales. Okay, and the next one we'll do is the top 5 Disney films live action. So Sister Act 2 was my number 5. Yes, not Sister Act 1, but Sister Act 2. Sister Act 2 is awesome.
That would be on my list, actually. Sister Act 1, because I don't think I've seen 2.
Sister Act 2 is a million times better than 1. Number 4 was The Parent Trap. Number 3, The Mighty Ducks.
I haven't seen it for a very, very long time. So
Love The Mighty Ducks. Love a bit of Mighty Ducks. Number 2 was Mary Poppins, and number 1, of course, had to be Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Okay, so I've got Cool Runnings, Saving Mr. Banks. Which one was the other one you said? Sister Act, and I'll leave it there. I'll have 3, but yeah.
All right, so let's go on to top 5 Disney Pixar.
Pixar. Oh, okay.
Disney / Pixar.
But this doesn't. Okay, cool. Yeah. So this, right. This is tough because it's the list is so close. It's unbelievable. So, I can't choose. Okay, Finding Nemo at 5. Toy Story at 4. Wall-E at 3. Monsters Inc. at 2, and top is Inside Out. Inside Out destroyed me emotionally. Like I love everything, and I've seen it about 100 times, and it gets better and better.
Right, so my top 5 Disney Pixar. Number 5, Moana. Number 4, Up. Number 3, Toy Story 2. Number 2, Toy Story 3, and number 1, Toy Story.
Toy Story 1. Yeah, solid list.
Okay, so let's go on now to the top 5 Disney films animation.
Okay, so there's going to be a live action one in here, but I can't do anything about that now. So Cool Runnings, I'll have to put in as number 5 because it's live action. Basil the Great Mouse Detective, Mulan.
Who?
Mulan.
The Basil.
Oh, Basil the Great Mouse Detective.
I've never heard of that.
So when we were younger, our parents bought us each a Disney film, and Basil the Great Mouse Detective was my film.
Unlucky.
No, it was. I loved it. It had like there's a character called Ratigan who thinks he's like a mouse and doesn't like to be called a rat, and he's a rat, and all the and there was Fidget the bat with one leg, and oh my god, it was great. So Basil the Great Mouse, Cool Runnings, Basil the Great Mouse Detective, Mulan. Emperor's New Groove, which is just such an amazing movie, and then top of the list, and it's got to be top of everyone's list, surely, is The Lion King.
It ain't on the top of my list. So my top 5 Disney films animation. So number 5 is The Little Mermaid. Number 4 is Beauty and the Beast. Number 3 is 101 Dalmatians. Number 2 is The Lion King. And number 1 is Mulan.
Oh, solid.
Now, with the new Mulan, I mean, I think the new Mulan can get stuffed, considering where it was filmed. Because I like when the new Mulan came out, everyone going, "Oh, the Disney Mulan." I was like, well, you know, all of that criticism about the Disney Mulan, because it might not have followed the story of Fa Mulan to the letter, but at least they didn't film it where they're killing Muslims. So
keeping them in concentration camps.
Yeah, so they got you beat there. Live action Mulan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, the cartoon one was great there.
It was, and it had a great theme song, or the great soundtrack, which brings us nicely to this next one. So, what are your top 5 Disney songs?
This is a tough one as well. Okay, so Let It Go at number 5, because it's the most catchiest Disney song I think that came out in like 20 years.
Let It Go, please.
Yeah, Let's Get Down to Business at 4 from Mulan.
Called I'll Make a Man Out of You.
Oh, is that what it's called?
Yep.
I'll Make a Man. Oh, make it. Yeah, anyway. Hakuna Matata, number 3. You've Got a Friend in Me at number 2. I think it's such a great little song, right? And the top one. And I dare you to find a better intro to a movie than this song, Circle of Life. But the moment the sun breaks over the horizon, and it's like, I was like, oh my god, ah!
Good list. Okay, so my top 5 Disney songs. In at number 5, it's Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo from Cinderella. That's a cracking little song. Number 4, Once Upon a Dream in Sleeping Beauty. Yep. Number 3, Gaston in Beauty and the Beast. No one drinks like Gaston. No one sleeps like Gaston. Number 2 is Be Prepared.
Be prepared.
That is such a tune. Oh my god, I was listening to it just before we recorded. I love Scar.
One thing really interesting about that sequence is there's a film, and I don't want this to take a turn for the dark side, but there's a film called Triumph.
Too late. I love Scar.
But there's a film called Triumph of the Will by Leni Riefenstahl, and that was Adolf Hitler's cinematographer, right?
Whoa!
And it's a very famous film. It's all about it's Nazi propaganda, and it's all about obviously like the thing, and it's got that scene that you just said about Be Prepared has got direct comparison scenes from that film.
I can't like that song anymore now. You done ruined that song for me.
Come on.
You just ruined a nice song for me.
I mean, it's still quite it's still a good song.
If it's
and
a
good
Nazi
sequence.
song, then damn, we have to.
No, it's not a Nazi song. It's just a Nazi sequence. It's showing how bad they are. The hyenas are the Nazis. Spoiler alert.
And number 1 is I'll Make a Man Out of You in Mulan. That is just big song, big tune. And some honorable mentions. Of course, Cruella de Vil. Desperately unlucky not to make my top 5. Desperately unlucky. Bella Notte from Lady and the Tramp. That's a really nice song. Little April Shower from Bambi, we talked about earlier. And obviously Whistle While You Work. Just whistle while you work.
I think you've gone quite classic with your choices in general, and I've gone like more modern.
I'm old school, man.
I mean, my honourable mention on the Pixar films was Cars.
Yeah, look at you with your acting brand new, picking new shows. I'm an old head, me. I'm gonna pick the classics. You can't beat the classics. Yeah, I'm trying to think. When did? Yeah, my God, my list for songs is really old. Yeah, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, 1950. Once Upon a Dream, 1959. Gaston, 91. Be Prepared, 94. I'll Make a Man Out of You, 98. Bella Notte, 1955. Cruella de Vil, 1961. Little April Shower, 1940s. Woo! I'm an old man. What do you want? And last but not least, top 5 Disney characters.
Right, so this is like quite... I know you're not going to like my list. So, at 5 is Mater from Cars. And all of mine seem to be the sidekick. I don't, apart from 2, I guess. Wally is at number 4. Mushu at 3. Mike Wazowski at 2. And at number 1 is...
I was wondering when that fool was going to make an appearance.
I love Mike Wazowski.
Monsters Inc. is so overrated.
I disagree. I love it. I can watch it.
So overrated.
I could watch it every day, I think. I like
so overrated.
The abominable snowman. That sequence where they're outside. Anyway, and my top 1 is Woody.
Oh, how did Woody not even make my list? I think I've gone classic. So my list of top 5 Disney characters. So in at number 5 is Scar. Bit unfortunate not to go further up the list. Number 4 was Mushu. So number 3 is Jiminy Cricket in Pinocchio. Number 2 was Roger in 101 Dalmatians. See, I had to bring it back. I had to either put 101 Dalmatians in my top 5, or I had to put Roger in my top 5. So I went with Roger, because he probably wrote the hit of the century with Cruella de Vil. Made a million with that song, and he fully deserves it. And my number 1 character is, of course, Mickey Mouse. I'm sorry, it's that little dance that he does. It's what won it for me. So
yeah, he's a bit irritating for me, especially in the modern day at like the whole Disney parks and stuff. But one thing about the Disney parks is like the Disney parks are incredible. They're just amazing. Like there's
that's what I'm thinking of. Disneyland. So Disneyland, Florida, Disneyland Park. I couldn't think of Disneyland when I was talking about the amusement park. I kept calling it amusement park.
Yeah,
I was going to say like Universal Studio, but
because you've got Paris, Florida, and California, right? I'm sure, and I think there's one in China somewhere. But anyway, these parks are just incredible. They're like perfect little worlds that you can get lost in.
Yeah,
probably literally get lost as well. Yeah, I mean, they're amazing.
Definitely one for the bucket list.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to. As soon as my boy's old enough, I'd love to take him. As soon as he's old enough to appreciate it, like old enough to recognize the characters and to not just be, not bothered about whether we're there or down the park on a thing roundabout.
Right, I think we're all top 5'd out. I'm not forgetting any, am I?
No, I think you're good, but I've got a little quiz, and you got to guess who. You got to guess who said the quote, right? And some of them, I've got 3 good ones, I think, and then the rest are some are a bit tougher. Anyway, so do you want me to do the voices, or shall I just say the quote as normal?
Say the quote as normal, and if I can't guess it, then you can do the voice.
So, remember who you are.
Oh, Mufasa, it. Nice and easy.
I've already given this one away, but I ring the gong.
Oh, Mushu, Mulan,
and okay, Francis, or Francis is how they say it.
Beauty and the Beast.
No, it's about cats.
Oh, Aristocats,
and it's not Aristocats. There's the only other cats one I can think of.
Nah.
Oliver, this is Tito from Oliver and Company.
Yeah, I ain't never seen that.
Right, so this one is one you've mentioned earlier, from the film you mentioned earlier, and it's always let conscience be your guide.
Bambi?
No.
Pinocchio?
Yes. Yeah. It's the fairy godmother saying it to Pinocchio, yeah. Easy one.
Because he's a lying git, isn't he?
Yeah. Just keep swimming.
Finding Nemo?
Yes, and it's Dory that says it. Because she always forgets things, and all she has to remember is just keep swimming. Think happy thoughts. Think happy thoughts. And a clue is it enables you to do something if you think happy thoughts.
I've no idea.
Peter Pan. They can fly when they think happy thoughts.
How did Peter Pan not make our list at all?
I mean, I haven't seen it for quite some time.
Me too.
But yeah, I mean, I definitely liked it as a kid. I mean, it's obviously all those stories about it. The kids are dead. The mum drugged them when they went out. I mean, that actually happened. The mum drugged them and then went out with the dad to dinner or wherever they went, right? The flower that blooms, the kids in Peter Pan, they drug them before they go to bed, so that they could go out to wherever they're going. And that's the whole thing about the kids are dead and they all died of an overdose, and that's why they went to Neverland. Anyway, the flower that blooms in adversity is the most rare and beautiful of all.
That's Mulan, isn't it?
Yeah, boy.
I saw that on the train somewhere. Who says it? The king?
Yeah, the emperor, yeah.
Oh, the emperor. Okay.
Okay, another one. Oh, yes, the past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it.
Sword in the Stone.
Nope. We've already done this film, but it's a really good quote, so I wanted to say it again. Well, say the film gets 2.
Say the quote again?
Oh, yes, the past can... But the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it, and I think it's culturally inappropriate for me to do the accent. It's from The Lion King, said by...
Rafiki.
Yeah. And finally, the quote is... And you probably won't know this because I don't think you like this film nearly as much as me. And the quote is, take her to the moon for me, okay?
No idea.
So this is from Inside Out, and it's what Bing Bong says to...
I didn't say I didn't like Inside Out. I don't think I've seen it.
No, I said nearly as much as me. Like, because this is like one of my most favourite movies, and there's so many things about it that I absolutely love. And this is one of the moments... So a little anecdote, I was on a plane and I've already watched this movie, and I think I'd watched it to my destination and I was coming back, and I noticed that the guy next to me, who I was traveling with, was watching the movie, and he got to this bit and I was like, this guy, this bit in this movie is going to destroy this guy. It's going to destroy any man. And so I sat back in my seat and I just took my headphones off and I watched his reaction to this moment in the film. And he just put his hand across his mouth, like, and I was like, oh, it got him as well, and it's brilliant. And then there's another guy watching it on my other side who I was also traveling with, and I watched him do the same moment. And but the thing is, he knew I was watching him, and he was sat there so still for such a long time, and then all of a sudden he just put his head in his face and started rubbing his eyes. I was like, yeah, it got you.
And in true British style, I bet you didn't even say a word to him, did you?
Yeah, I was with him. I was traveling with him. I love Inside Out. I can't say enough good things about it.
I might have to go watch it then.
I would recommend it.
Cool. And on that note, we will bring the 50th episode to an end. It's back to our regularly scheduled podding. So it's the last week of our schools month. So, so you got that to look forward to next time around. But thank you so much for listening. I know it's not technically the 50th episode because you had one or two things that I've dropped here and there. I'm also going to drop the episode that we did on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air to celebrate the 30th anniversary. So watch out for that and give it a listen if you didn't listen to it when we spoke about it last year. That was a really fun, interesting episode. So definitely look out for that. And Yesterday's Capers is available wherever you get your podcast from, all around the world. So wherever you are around the world, and you're downloading and listening, I thank you all very, very much. And Yesterday's Capers is also on the socials on Facebook at facebook.com/Yesterday's Capers. We're on Instagram at Yesterday's Capers 1. On Twitter, it's Yesterday Capers. You can follow me on Insta at Abdullah_Moallim. And on Twitter, it's Abdullah Moallim, all one word. Give me a holler, give me a shout, and join us next time for another episode of Yesterday's Capers.